Hey folks, Dino here again. This time taking a look at a figure I've been trying to get a hold of for ages, but thanks to scalpers increasing the price, it's taken a while. Yeah, this is the Figuarts Beskar Mandalorian. And yeah, you've probably seen some other videos about this figure's shortcomings, but to me, I really still like him. So yeah, let's start off with the box, shall we? As always. So it's your standard Star Wars packaging, Mandalorian, Beskar armor, Star Wars the Mandalorian, Mandalorian everywhere. They're using this sort of copper colour for the Mandalorian, I think. And some more there. Yep, pretty much not much to look at on the box. You've got the Tamashii seal there. And some poses on the back, as well as the blurb. Nice to see it still around. Now there is something I want to mention that everyone else seems to have missed. This picture clearly shows the Mandalorian with a much higher neck. I don't know what happened in production, but it seems as if they originally had him at the right neck height and then stopped halfway through. Yeah, the more you look at all the promo pictures, he did have a longer neck to begin with. But yeah, this is going to be a bit of a long one, so I'd better stop rambling. In fact, we shall take a look at the accessories, because there is a lot. First things first, his pulse rifle. A lot of people don't actually know this was originally, I think it was in the holiday special. Boba Fett originally had this. It was either that or the original concept art had Boba Fett with this rifle. So nice to see they've repurposed it for Mando or Din Djarin. Yeah, first bit of contention already. People really don't like this piece because it's a bit over-engineered, much like most of the figure. But in my opinion, most of it is justified. I mean, you've got that. You've got some nice sort of blue shading at the edge. You'll notice I've already taken the piece out. I really don't want to be fiddling with any small pieces on camera because it will go flying into the carpet and get eaten, never to be seen again. But yeah, you can take off the end and pop this piece on, still it tight. There we go. And that bit looks really good. I love the effect piece. You can actually see, I think this entire piece is actually transparent plastic that they've painted, because you can see it's not an extra piece they've added on, it's literally part of the sculpt. So yeah, quite nice. But yep, you take this off and you actually take this piece off as well, the scope part, to add this piece in, which is basically the exact same thing with a strap attached. You do that, do some fiddling to get it in. There we go. Would help if I held it the right way around. And you pop that back in, straighten it up a wee bit, and then you can attach it to his back, like so. You actually don't have to do the over-engineered part, to be completely honest with you. It will hang there, like just on its own. Doesn't really need this part. But you pop it through an inexplicable gap in the cape, and you'll see a hole right there, which this just pops into. which is very fiddly. And yeah, of course, I tested this multiple times off camera and it worked fine, but now it's refusing to work for me. Yeah, you know what, I'm giving up. I am not spending all day trying to work with the parts to this guy. But yeah, as you can see, even without it plugged in, it hangs on his back just completely fine. So yeah, they over-engineered that quite a bit when they really didn't need to. But overall, the rifle itself is decent. I do quite like it. This teeny little thing is what goes into that gap. Yeah, I'm not going to be doing that on camera. This guy comes with quite a lot of small parts. And whoosh, lost this on the original. This teeny tiny little piece goes into his strap there. I will be keeping this one on permanently because it's barely noticeable in the first place. So yeah, that's going back in the box. You will notice I have already replaced the shoulder pad with the mud horn. He does come with the standard one as well. Easy enough to pop out. It's just the standard ball joint connected to a hinge. So yeah, that's fine as well. Need to keep getting them out the way because there's a lot to go through. You get his jetpack, which is done in the same really nice paint finish. Again, a bit over engineered and missed opportunity as well. That hole, I appreciate the detail, but that should have really been a space for a Tamashii stage. It holds on his back really well, there's no reason it shouldn't have been. Really none whatsoever. Same with these. For some bizarre reason, Tamashii thought that these had to be different sizes, so they only fit one way, even though they're the exact same on both sides. Really no need for it. You also pull that out to fit the actual jet portion into it. These ones are much tighter than the standard. Yet does look really good. Again, pops onto his back. I believe the cape goes across this side. So you just pop it into a hole in his back. As you can see, holds really well. So definite missed opportunity. That should have been a hole. There we go. As you can see, the cape just sort of hangs there nicely. But yeah, we are about a quarter of the way through the accessories, folks. Next one is his holsters, which again, no need for such over-engineered mess, but there you go. You get one without the gun, one with the gun. Pops off, easy enough. Pops back on, it's just a sort of pop hinge. For some bizarre reason though, Tamashii thought they didn't have to give us like 2 straps for the gun. Like, seriously, Tamashii? That would have cost you like half a pence in plastic. That, there's really zero reason to hold back like that, honestly. Pops in like that. There's no reason that couldn't have even been sculpted onto it. Like, honestly. I know this review is sounding quite negative so far, but trust me, I do really enjoy this figure. I really do. You've got his pistol, really nicely done, sort of gunmetal colour, with some brown on the handle, really nicely done. You get his Vibral Blade, again really nicely done. There is actual holes in it, very delicate piece. You also get two hands specifically for the Vibral Blade. They sort of fit through. I think they fit through back to front. I'm not sure. There you go. So yeah, they sort of fit through like that. Just realised I'm doing that off camera. Can you tell it's been a little while since I've done a recording? But yeah, holds onto that really tightly. Probably a bit too tight considering how delicate of a piece that is. But yeah, you get two hands for that, so you can hold it either side. That one is even tighter, so I'm not even going to attempt that. He comes with his Whistling Birds attachment. Really nicely done, I really like that. Seems like it's two separate pieces that they've maybe glued together. You've got the part that attaches to his wrist, you've got the clear sort of smoke effect, and then they've painted the tips. I'd actually say this one looks better than the Hot Toys one, because the Hot Toys one, they sort of cheaped out a little bit. I know I'm going to anger some Hot Toys fans, but it's only really like two pieces for the Hot Toys. If you've ever seen it, you'll know what I'm talking about. This one is better sculpted. As you can see, just pops off. That bit pops on. And looks really nice. Looks as if it's coming out of his wrist. Again, small parts though. This figure is chock full of really tiny parts that the carpet monster will gladly eat up and you'll never see again. This side also comes off for his flamethrower, which looks kind of small, but it gets the point across without being really heavy. I mean, that piece itself is already really heavy. That one just pops off. And that piece goes on. Again, just a little bit of flame. It's as if he's just turned it on. And that piece looks really good. Not sure about anyone else's, but this side for me is a bit on the loose side, so be careful. So yeah. Last but not least, we've got his hands, of which he does come with a few. First things first, he has, well, the fist hands that come on him in the package. Nice Shore Trooper design. He comes with this one, with the, see if I can make this a bit better, there we go. This one comes with a tracker built in. Glad the, well, in fact, I don't actually think it's one sculpted piece. It kind of looks like a separate piece that they've pre-glued. But yeah, still glad they've done it. All the same. You get this one. This trigger hand, which specifically fits the pistol. You only get one for the pistol, which kind of makes sense. He only really uses his right hand for the pistol. That sort of pops in there. And then you manoeuvre the finger in, which bizarrely for a Figuarts, the trigger finger is actually on the trigger. Don't know why they decided to change their mind on that, but there you go. You have the rifle holding hand, which is sort of weirdly shaped, but that's to fit this sort of older style of handle that doesn't have a pistol grip on it, and that just slots on like that, again holding the trigger. Tamashii, you're doing wonders. You get one specific hand for holding the rifle, which is sculpted in that way, but it doesn't really snugly fit onto anything, it just sits. You've got two sort of relaxed hands. Don't know why Mando comes with that, he's never relaxed in his life. And two sort of splayed open posy hands, which can't have a Figuarts without those. And yet they're all nicely detailed, nicely painted. In fact, I think most of the paint went to the sort of metal colour and the hands, really. But yeah, that is all of his accessories, finally. So let's get on to Mando himself. So yeah, elephant in the room, people don't like the helmet. Either they think it's too small, or they think it's too low. Personally, I'm in the camp that thinks it's too low, because if you do a little trick that Whoosh done, which is to pop it off, it's actually a double ball peg, which they don't do that very often. Yeah, if you have it like that, just sitting there, it looks much better. So what you do is you get a bit of blue tack. Again, I seen this video in Whoosh's video. I am not sure if it's him that came up with it or if he found it elsewhere, but you pop that in and then you feed that through the ball peg. I think I've got too much. There we go. Feed that in, put the ball peg on top, and all of a sudden he's looking much better. And yeah, that sort of resolves that issue. Because we're doing articulation next though, I'll take that out for now, but he will be going on to my shelf or in my cabinet with that fix in place. Now, in terms of detail, just in general, he is really, really nicely detailed. I just like the sort of bare Beskar sort of look in general. I'm glad Mando never painted his like Boba Fett. But yeah, it looks really, really nice. Glad they went with such a shiny paint job, especially considering all their other sort of metal effects didn't really go too well. Hence why I never bought 3PO. Their Phasma was a bit of a joke as well. But yeah, can't fault them for design or paint apps. Everything's where it should be. People are saying he's not dirty enough, but I personally couldn't really care when it comes to dirt and stuff like that. I prefer a figure to look good. If he has those kind of paint apps, then fair enough, but it's not a requirement for me. But yeah, only complaint I've heard people say about the cape is it's a bit flat. It's also not the right material. Strangely enough, the original version, I think it's called Durasteel, that he was wearing, the original Mando Figuarts had the correct material, but it looked too flat. Unfortunately, so they had to go with something a bit better. It's wrapped really nice around there. That's exactly how it looks in the show, and it tucks in under his armour plate. Kind of difficult to replace. and kind of difficult to replicate. So yeah, not sure about anyone else's, but apart from the fact that mine's is fraying like nothing else, mine's also seems to have been folded over in the factory, like as if they're trying to make it look a bit better. They know that the fraying is bad and they just, I don't know. Makes it easier to put wire in there. All you'd have to do is shove a bit of cheap wire into that bit and just sew it shut, and it would be easy as that. But yeah, apart from that, I personally think the cape looks fine. It's not completely flat. They could have done with putting some wires in it to begin with, but hey oh, who knows what Tamashi's thinking about these days. But yeah, in terms of articulation, he can look up really well, like jetpack sort of seeing poses right there. Can look down quite well, although it looks as if he's really no neck that way. You've got some side to side tilt, basically everything you could want. Because it's a double ball peg, they need to do that more often. The shoulder pads can move out of the way, they can move down, all the rest of it. No hindrance to the shoulders whatsoever. Those are on sort of ball peg in there, on a hinge. You do have bicep swivel, but if it's straight out like that, it just seems to turn on the ball peg instead. The hinge itself is, or the swivel, sorry, seems to be very tight. Double jointed at the elbow, can get quite good range considering. Standard ball hinge at the wrist. The ball pegs are quite tight, so be careful. He does have ab articulation, but because of said issue with this silly little piece, the minute you use it, that pops out. Don't know why they thought that was a good idea. They should have just sculpted this onto the armour or something. Like, it's attached in two places on the armour anyway. There's really no need for them to over-engineer it like that. I mean, I get it looks good. It's a separate piece, but still could have been better. Even with that, you don't get much range going down. So yeah. His legs are, this is more over-engineered. That flips up, that flips up, that flips up. All for that. That amount of range. You can extend it though, and get a bit more. But still, even with it extended, it's decent. But considering the fact that they deliberately put that in, that should have given him a lot more range. It's like a mix between the Stormtrooper sort of hip design and the Dragon Ball fighting body design. So yeah, it's alright. It'll do. Double jointed knees. You get two different types of knees. Can you get just past 90 on that one? And actually quite a bit more on this side, which is strange to me. So yeah, I'm also not quite sure in the show. When he had the Durasteel on, this knee pad was similar to Boba Fett's, with the sort of knee launchers, the little dart launchers. But with this, at some point he must have lost that, because that is just his outfit. And even on the Figuarts Durasteel Mando, he did have that Boba Fett sort of design, so it's not as if they just forgot about it. So yeah, quite strange. He's got an actual hinge at the foot. Can barely get much movement out of it at all, but he does have toe articulation, so he's saved. But yeah, overall, I think people are being just a little bit too harsh on this guy. I mean, sure, he's a lot of his accessories and some of the figure itself is over-engineered, like, badly. But once he's standing there, he looks like Mando. He looks like Din Djarin out the show. And that's the main thing, isn't it? Once you've got him in that badass pose, on the shelf, next to the child, or, spoiler warning, Grogu, yeah, he's gonna look good. Mafexes will probably look more accurate, judging from the promo pictures, but we all know Mafex. I mean, you're going to take one look at him and he's going to explode into a million pieces. But yeah, that will do it for this review, guys. I shall see y'all later.